Okay, I think we are live, and Mr. Lowry should be back here in just a second. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. So give me just a second. Let me get him back in. And let me go double check and make sure that we are live right now as we speak. So everybody hold on just a second. Looks like we are. Y'all sound off in the comments if you can see us on Facebook and or YouTube if you're on. So let me get Mr. Lowry back in here and let me double check. We kind of had a little technical difficulty getting started this evening. I guess we got to get the cobwebs out of the old live streaming software since we've had a kind of haphazard schedule. So let's see. Everybody kind of bear with me for just a second here. Sure, we're actually streaming. It's the software says we are, but let me double check us. All right, let's see here. All right. Yeah, okay, we are live. So let me see if I can get Duke in here. Hold on just a second. All right, Mr. Sadow says we're on YouTube. Let's see. Judy Stewart and everybody. There we go. Raina Taylor Evans. Facebook is live. Okay, thank you, folks. Bear with me for just a second. We had to do a little finagling of the software here, and now I got to get Mr. Lowry back in. All right. Let's see. Turn that off. Turn that back on. All right. Try. Let's see. Do. Let's see here. Try. Just a second. Let's see here. Let me test seeing if I can come in as a guest. Bear with us, folks. We hadn't had a real technical glitch in a while. So let's see. Safari. Test this. Y'all just imagine some cool music going on or something, whatever. Anyway, let me see if I can work through this. All right, copy. Paste. All right. Let's see. Oh, there he is. Nope. Yep. All right. Hold on, Mr. Lowry. Let's see. Assign to guest one. Why am I going? All right. Okay. So apparently.
And then the keyboard affecting the
All right. I can hear you. I just can't see you now. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Well, we got a problem with your video. That would be the only issue now. Not really sure what happened. Again, folks, bear with us. Might be a couple of minutes. Got to get Duke in the show. Try going out and coming in one more time. Well, anyway, software usually works flawlessly for most of 300 shows. Anyway, we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about tonight, including the sand trucks, and we've got some interesting information about Claiborne Parish. All right, there we go. Let's assign Duke to there. Why do I keep losing your video every time I assign you to a camera? Oh, all right, hold on there. I got you.
I don't know.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Ghost in the machine.
Yeah. Stranger things have happened. Okay, so now let me get rid of your green screen here. This has been Interesting evening, to say the least. How are you, Mr. Lowry? And
Out in
now
a
he
little
is.
bit of frack sand.
Yeah, well, I hope you appreciated the title of the show, Mr. Sandman. I want
Got
to
a
start
big old
humming that
chuckle
song.
out of it, and as you say, I spit my coffee out.
Mr. Sandman. Da, 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 da. All right, so let me do my normal tech stuff, which is trying to get us a little better connection here. I've literally not even introduced the show yet, so, there's that.
Well, as fate would have it, this is Bossier Watch. That's Rex. This is Duke, and we talk about stuff. How
Yeah, that's
entertaining is that?
pretty much that it. And, amazingly enough, we are professional amateurs, as you can see from the tech stuff, without a doubt.
Yeah. Hey, you like my hat? You
I
notice that different
I
style hat?
kind of, yeah, I kind of do. What is that called? That's not a fedora. What do they call those things?
I have no idea, but it looks like something that John Settle would wear. And so, in honor of John Settle, I wore this hat.
Oh, well, hey, the hat man, the man with the hat.
You know, because he said something. I saw a message or a text or an email or something where he was referencing the Bossier City Council and said that he'll be sure to inform Bossier Watch that he's taking care of that problem for them, and something to do with us. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what problem he's taking care of or what. I kind of saw that message, but I kind of only half paid attention to it. I was busy reading a public information request from the Caddo Commission. They finally responded on some outdoor news stuff, so I don't know what he was talking about. What did he take care of for us?
I don't know either. I guess I'm gonna have to go back and find that and try to see or what have you. But I don't know. Maybe I, who knows? Maybe
Let's see.
traffic on Benton Road. I
Oh
guess he was
yeah,
taking care of traffic on Benton Road. But
yeah.
maybe we need to get him on the sound.
Let's see. What did he say? I guess, folks, if you don't like cuss words, put your fingers in yours. Sending this to Bossier Watch, who always wants me to cure their bitches. Interesting. I wonder what he means by that comment. Mr. Settle, you got to come on the show and explain what you mean by that comment. We need to
God,
catch up.
yeah, we need to. I don't know either. I have no clue.
All right. Now let's see. Val Baker. Oh, there's Mr. Ferris. He says he is watching from Lake Charles. Val Baker says we're on Facebook, YouTube, and X. It's a miracle. It's a miracle any of this even works. All right.
Almost didn't.
All right. Enough of the rambling. Okay, so let's get down to business. So, first of all, I think I want to, right here in the very beginning of the show, I want to reveal our secret identities. Did you know that we had secret identities, Mr. Lowry?
Not until you put it out on social media, in which, if anybody would know, I would think you would know, but I don't know. So please, by all means, tell me, what is my secret identity?
Well, all right. So let me kind of explain here. I was hoping to have a screenshot ready, but it doesn't look like I'll be able to. But, you know, we did this public information request to the Claiborne Parish Sheriff's Department. We talked about that last show, right?
Right,
All right.
right.
The Claiborne Parish Sheriff's Department basically kicked back saying, oh, no, we only accept certified mail. Well, that's a barrier and has a chilling effect on getting public records because, one, certified
That's
letters
right.
aren't terribly expensive, but you have to go down and, set up the certified mail deal, I guess, with the post office or however all that works. And you got to pay a fee to get records that are public and supposed to be freely available for inspection. Okay. So, for those of you that don't know, public bodies can charge a fee to produce copies, but they cannot charge a fee to let you inspect the records. They must produce the records if they have them. They can't create records that aren't available, but they have to provide them for inspection. And while inspecting, you can photocopy those records as long as you are not going to damage said records. Now, if you want copies of them, it says that the public bodies may, not shall, because that's different legally, may charge a fee, and there's basically a fee schedule set up or fee that's appropriate. Okay, so charging a fee is not a problem if, or whatever for producing the records, but requiring a certified letter is absolutely a problem and is absolutely against the law if that's what they were really going to try to do. I mean, it's kind of the irony there just hits you in the face that the sheriff's department was advocating breaking the law for public records. So,
Well, they're not the first
no,
entity
no.
that tried to make it difficult or cumbersome for somebody from the public to get documents. In fact, we've got a few emails since we kind of started talking about it, and people are saying, yeah, it has happened to me out there. It's happened to me out there, which was not shocking at all.
Right.
So, but, I guess we're going straight off into that right here out of the gate. We retorted, and you highlighted it very well in the post that you put together and put out there, and we basically said, okay, we understand what you're trying to say. Could you by all means please show us in the law what gives you the ability to rewrite the law, essentially?
Yeah, where is the exception for the sheriff's department in the law? And so, yeah, I'm showing right now on the screen the Facebook post that we did, and yes, this is AI generated. I don't care. AI is like a great assistant. It saves me a tremendous amount of time besides doing this in Photoshop and all that. But anyway, so to their credit, they did provide the documents because we responded, with the statutes. Basically, any adult may inspect. And let me say this too, that's any adult. You don't have to be a resident of Claiborne Parish. You don't have to be a resident of any town or any area or region, or even a resident of the state of Louisiana to inspect public documents. The statute's pretty clear. Any adult may inspect, copy, or reproduce the records. And so basically, we asked them, we are unaware of any law that allows agencies to create internal policies that restrict statutory access rights. And magically, and to their credit, they provided said information to us. No problem. Now, what does that have to do with our secret identities, you may ask?
I'm still dying to know.
Okay, well, this generated a lot of comments, including, let me set this. I hate the way Facebook does this. They set this to most relevant, and then you got to go in and change it. It's just a pain in the rear end. But anyway, Dave Ackland, who, according to his Facebook profile, is from originally or lived in Haynesville, or he's from Claiborne Parish anyway, he says, "Who is Bossier Watch? How does someone know if you're not a spam bot? You're quick to call out the Claiborne Parish Sheriff's Office, but are you a person, an entity, or a keyboard warrior stirring up crap?" Well, all right. So we are a person. We're not a real entity because Bossier Watch isn't a real thing. This is just a figment of your imagination. But seriously, we're not a business or anything. We do this as a hobby. And yeah, we're pretty much keyboard warriors, and our claim to fame is stirring up shit with politicians, not individual people. With politically, our deal is for it to catch our radar, it has to have some kind of political tie-in. So, hate to tell you, Dave, but you got it mostly right, but we're not spam bots. I don't know. Some people may think we're spam bots as much as we post and do things, but we've been called a lot worse than a spam bot. So this gets even funnier because then, let me see if I can find it here. Oh, this guy Clayton Bennett. He means a name, public record. So anyway, let me back up. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up. So my reply, or our reply, was, well, we have 300 plus live shows, so there's that. I mean, look, folks, We're live. It is Tuesday evening, June the 2nd, 7:19 p.m. We're live. It's really us. We're not AI generated. And look, amazingly, our names. I've got our names in software right below us, Duke. You can Google our names. In the amount of time it took these guys to try to play tit for tat with us on Facebook, they could have literally Googled it and found us. So
But you know, come to think of it, I mean, we may actually all be just not
living in
real.
this, maybe we're living in a simulation. Neo is
Ma-
real. The Matrix.
Maybe, yeah, maybe the Matrix is real. Maybe all of y'all watching and commenting right now, maybe y'all are all just plugged in as too, just like us.
So
Y'all are all fake.
this gets worse, and I know folks, y'all may not can read this because it's kind of small, but anyway, I even responded under my profile, my Facebook profile, the real name. And I said, besides that, part of my childhood was spent in Haynesville as my dad worked for Halliburton. Shall I rattle off names? I mean, Dave Acklin. And what's the other guy's name? Oh, Clayton Bennett. I appreciate the tit for tat because all that does is drive up the engagement in the Facebook algorithm, which means even more people see the post. So there's that. So we appreciate that. But you're more than welcome to jump in the comments. I invited y'all to the show. Hell, I'll even send you the link to the show and y'all can come on live and we'll have a live debate so y'all can figure out we're not spam bots. How's that?
I didn't know we were going to have to defend our identities, that we're real people. I'm shocked.
New one on us. I mean, it's not like we come on here under masked identities. I don't know. That one I was not expecting.
So back to Claiborne Parish. So, since we said that we're getting off into Claiborne Parish and kind of talking about that, and it's basically because we started getting a little bit of information sent to us, and
Right.
we're trying to catch up on these names and these people, and so much stuff flying our way, and sort through what's legit, what's not legit, and I don't know. I think we're kind of getting to some of the topsoil on this thing. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. We're getting more and more information, and we've had some folks reach out and want to know how to send information anonymously, or do we reveal our sources? So let me spend just a minute especially for those of you out there watching that may be new to the show or may watch this after the fact. So here's the way this works. Duke and I are not professional journalists. We're like amateurs doing this. We've just got a lot of show hours behind us, literally in the thousands of hours, not to mention the research time and all that and everything else that we've done and accomplished with the help of a lot of other people. Let me add that. But the way this works is if you've got some information that maybe for whatever reason you don't want your name associated with it, maybe you work for a government agency or something like that, and you want to share something out without revealing the source. We don't. I can speak for both of us. Neither of us would reveal our sources except under court order, and maybe not even then. But if you want to remain completely anonymous, go make you a free Proton Mail account. It's down there in the bottom of the show over there under Duke somewhere. Go make you a free Proton Mail account. Don't put any identifying information in it, in the emails, okay, or in the account that you create. Make it completely anonymous. And send us an email to either bossierwatch at Proton Mail, or if you want to remain really, really anonymous, or send it to bossierwatch at gmail.com. We'll get either one, and we'll take a look at that. Again, don't put any information in that email that could point back to you as an individual. This is called plausible deniability and fully protecting our sources. Now, that doesn't mean that just because you send us an email, we're necessarily going to talk about it on the show. We do try to vet things and do our due diligence as best as we can as amateurs, but I want to throw that out there. And if you're really paranoid, sign up for a VPN account with some VPN service. Don't use a computer that you normally use. Go to the public library and then send the Proton Mail. I don't know. But anyway, that's how to do it in case you've got some information you want to share with us that you don't really want to be known as the source. How about that, Mr. Lowry? Did I botch that pretty good?
No, but look, you did it good. I mean, the old proton mail, there's a lot of things have come our way via proton mail over the years that we've exposed out, for the public's consumption that I would contend has affected change in local government in ways.
Yeah.
Maybe it's made them get slicker, it's, some folks, but it's corrected some things. So if it can work over here, it can work in Claiborne Parish as well too. So with that said, you know, not necessarily everything has to come by proton mail, and not everybody wants to hide stuff. And we
That is
got a
very true.
little, yeah, we got a little bit of information, and which kind of has led us down a road that we've been on before, dual office holding.
Yes,
And
where is that familiar? Where do I remember that from?
yeah, and so the dual office holding thing was the Cypress district over here with Robert Berry, and we ended up getting then AG Jeff Landry's office weighing in on that, and the dual office holding thing didn't it go all the way to the state Supreme Court? And yep, you're dual office holding and take your football and go home, pretty much.
Yes, it did. It took it, the famous quote, got to get it out of the 26 JDC to get anything done. And that's exactly what had to happen. It's a whole long saga, and I'm not going to bore everybody with it tonight, but let's just say there was tit for tat involved Jeff Landry's office when he was Attorney General. Finally got the attention of Skylar Marvin. It was just this whole charade in an effort to protect, for whatever reason, Robert Berry. But eventually it did get to the Louisiana Supreme Court. The Louisiana Supreme Court basically said, yeah, you're dual office holding, and kicked it back down. And the police jury finally dragged, kicking and screaming, booted Robert Berry out.
But not until one police juror got him a dose of some of it, and that kind of turned the tail. When the issue started affecting him personally, and then the whole thing turned on the dime at that time.
Yes, that is correct. So how does that relate to Claiborne Parish?
Well, here we are with Claiborne Parish, and we're getting a lot of information and people telling us that things are going on in Claiborne Parish. And, we start asking some questions, and lo and behold, bam, looks like the Attorney General's office is chasing things in Claiborne Parish as well, too. And guess what? They hit pay dirt.
Yes. So we did get permission from the person who sent this letter. I did right before the show, sent a text message because he didn't send it anonymously, but I had already redacted his name in the essence of time because I wasn't sure if I was going to get a response. So we may reveal that later. Just suffice it to say, this person is from Haynesville. Anyway, if you notice, this opinion was rendered on April the 2nd of 2026, and here's the deal. This is from Liz Murrell's office. Says, the question is whether the vice president of the Claiborne Parish Police Jury may be employed as a detective for the Claiborne Parish Sheriff's Office. And the conclusion of the AG's office is no. The dual office holding and employment provisions prohibit the vice president of Claiborne Parish Police Jury from simultaneously being employed as a detective for the Claiborne Parish Sheriff's Office. And they go on to explain the form of government and all that, and say that a detective for Claiborne Parish Sheriff's Office is classified as employment for the purposes of the dual office holding and dual employment law. And if we notice over here, they cite revised statute 42:63D specifically prohibits any member of a parish governing authority from holding any office or employment with any sheriff. As such, many of the questions raised in this request, such as those involving The relevant statutes and other ethical concerns under the Ethics Code must be addressed and directed to the Louisiana State Board of Ethics. With best regards. This is from, let's see, Harley Frideau. I hope I said that correct. From Liz Merle's office, the office of the AG. So, there's more going on in Claiborne Parish, but a lot of people have asked, Duke, so maybe we need to just kind of refresh everybody's memory. Why would we be worried about Claiborne Parish when the title of the show is, and all that is Bossier Watch? Why do we even care?
Well, as you so eloquently put, like in the title of the show, an identity crisis and things of that nature. At one time, for those of you that may not know, we were bouncing around trying to do this thing called Louisiana Watch and Bossier Watch. And it was because we were not just limiting ourselves to Bossier, we were chasing things all over Louisiana. And then finally, when we were juggling those hats and couldn't completely figure it out, we just said, you know what, the heck with it. It doesn't matter what we talk about, who we talk about, or where we talk about them. We're from Bossier. We're Bossier guys. It's Bossier Watch. The heck with it. We're just going to do Bossier Watch. So I don't know. That's the best answer I can give. And I don't think that was what you were going to say.
No, that's actually pretty much it. I mean, here's the deal: we're watching out for Bossier and the surrounding area. But again, we've pretty much expanded the scope a long time ago where we do include some state stuff. Obviously, we've had plenty of state senators, state reps that aren't even our, particular area state reps and all that, and politicians on and guests on. And so even though it's Bossier Watch, we pretty much, if it's within the purview of what we consider politically tied in, we're going to talk about it if we think there's something to it. And if we think that the folks in Bossier and elsewhere will find it interesting.
So there's a lot of political shenanigans going on in Claiborne Parish, as you would guess, and the kind of stuff that just I don't know. It's disgusting to the public, and what we found over time is, and the more that you provide, you know, transparency and you provide the public with information on the things that are going on. I mean, a lot of the folks from Bossier, you may have family in Claiborne Parish, and things that happen in Claiborne Parish affect the neighboring parish and the neighboring parish. It all just kind of feeds off of each other, because what you allow to be okay in one place is just then allowed to be okay in the next place. So there needs to be some light kind of shined over here. And apparently, this dual office holding thing between the police juror and being on the payroll of the sheriff's office, that's apparently got a lot of people up in air over there. So we went to digging a little bit, and there's some other things that we're told, and we were searching and looking into, and we went looking for all of the employee roster and salaries and pay over there. And there's some interesting things in that. And the primary thing was to determine, was this person still on the payroll over there?
Yeah. So the person is, and I look, y'all can correct me in the comments. I believe he's the right now or was at this particular time, which is as we showed in the other letter, was just in April of this year. I believe he was selected as the vice president of the Claiborne Parish Police Jury. Again, I could be wrong about that, but the guy's name is Mark Furlow. I don't know Mark. I don't think I've ever met him, in my dealings here and there and yonder. Might be a super nice guy. Maybe didn't realize that there was a dual office holding statute. Although I got to say, as a detective with the sheriff's department, those are kind of things you need to know when you're, being elected to an office or appointed or whatever. But anyway, and according to sources, Mark Furlow is still on the police jury, and allegedly is still a detective with the Claiborne Parish Sheriff's Office. Now, we haven't fully determined that. Now, Duke, I haven't looked through those employment records that the Claiborne Parish Sheriff's Office sent us yet. Did you happen to come across Furlow's name in any of that?
Well, with the records that were given to us, I did not see his name in there,
Okay.
ironically. So the date of the records that we were given were, here the other day, the 27th of May of 26. And this AG opinion, and when did this come down? I didn't see to catch the date on these documents.
Well, all right. So the AG's opinion, let me pull that one back up real quick. Hold on just a second. All right. So this was, let's see, I put the date and signature. Hold on just a second. Let me go back to the first page. This was April 2nd. Yeah, I read that off at the beginning. I've short-term memory here, people. April the 2nd of 2026. Now, this other letter that I'm showing is from the Louisiana State Police. And let me scan up and down here and see if there's a date on this letter. It is a 2-page deal. There is no date on this letter. I will assume it is around the same time or after because, let me read this. Our office received your correspondence in reference to opinion 25-0156 offered by the state of Louisiana Office of the Attorney General. That would be the opinion we just read, dated April 2nd. So it had to have been sometime around April the 2nd or thereafter that this letter was generated. It says, after review of that opinion, the Louisiana State Police agree that the dual office holding and employment provisions prohibit the vice president of Claiborne Parish Police Jury from simultaneously being employed as a detective for Claiborne Parish Sheriff's Office as covered by revised statute 42:63D. Please note, the concern raised in your request covered by that statute must be addressed and directed to the Louisiana State Board of Ethics, so on and so forth. And they go on and explain how to send that information over there. So, here we go again. Yeah, it's very reminiscent of the Robert Barry situation. So, and I'm sure that the person, and again, we'll probably mention his name, maybe not this show, but anyway, I'm sure the person sending this already done his homework and knows what the potential penalties or what has to happen. Here's the problem, folks. The DA's office is in charge of basically enforcing this, or the first line of defense in enforcing against dual office holding. And then the second line of defense is the AG's office, which it's got to be kind of extraordinary for the AG's office to jump in. And I don't know if this rises to that, but you folks in Claiborne Parish, if you don't agree with this, and again, Mr. Furlow may be a great guy, have no idea, but still, it's a violation of the law. It is, period. And so if y'all are concerned about this over there in Claiborne Parish, you need to let your elected officials know.
Now, hey, I was looking at this document and something caught my attention. And I don't know, maybe it's just coincidence, and I don't know. I'm not from over there. I'm trying to understand everything here because we keep getting people telling us stuff, and I don't know. So I'm trying to figure this out. But scroll on that page you've got there. Scroll to the last page in the bottom left-hand corner.
Okay, hold on just a second. Let me get back to the right deal on my end. Let's see, let me go back to my mode. Okay. The bottom corner of the second page, did you say?
Yeah, to that document there from the police Troop G. And what is that last name that I see right there?
Oh, here we go. Christopher Perry Sargent.
Okay. It seems like a lot of Perrys. Christopher Perry. That name rings a bell for some reason, and I don't know. But if you'll share screen and pop over to my screen, interestingly, we had somebody else sending us information saying that we needed to pay attention to a rental company out of Ruston and
Really?
trying to figure this out. But if you look right there for the mailing address, it says care of Chrissy Perry. That's interesting. And if we kind of go down here and look at the officers, Chris Perry, Elizabeth Anders, and Samuel Dowie. Is that Sam Dowie's the sheriff?
Interesting.
Is that the same Chris Perry on that trooper or that state police report? So how I don't understand.
Well, if it is the same Sam Dowie's, why would his address be in Ruston?
And if it's the same Chris Perry,
they're all at the same address. Must be a business office. I should know that.
Yeah.
116 Pinecrest Drive, since I'm spent half my life in Ruston. Hold on, let's look that up. 116. So go ahead, Duke, with your line of thought. I'm going to look that up.
Well, the only thing I'm wondering is it the same Perry or is it not the same Perry? And you know, I don't know, and I do know that when I look through those documents, there is a Perry on there, but there's not a Christopher Perry. There's a it's something J Perry that's on there. And of course, his salary is about $70,000 or something to that effect. And then there's another lady on there, the name Perry, as well. But I guess we'll post those salaries up maybe after the show.
Yeah, probably so. I think we both need to spend a little bit of time kind of going through the data, and we'll figure that out. Now, I just pulled up 116 Pinecrest Drive in Ruston. And I should have already known this. This is right over by Super One Foods. Let's do a quick street view of this. Well, if it's going to play nicely, apparently it's not. So maybe there's not a street view of that. Let's see. Oh, there's pine trees. Let's turn around and look this way. There we go. Oh, okay. So, Wade and Perry, CPA. Interesting. Okay. So now we know that this business, if that is the same Sam Dowie's, it may not be, or it may or may not be the same Chris Perry, but they've got a LLC or a business out of apparently the CPA office over in Ruston.
Sounds crazy, and the Perry that, not the J Perry, but the other Perry that's listed on, I think, is actually the person that that's like the CPA for the sheriff's office there, whose last name is Perry.
Oh,
but
really?
I don't think the name is the same. But so I'm just making the point here. Got to figure all this out. It's a lot of coincidences here in these names. I may not be nothing to it, but sure is odd. And if you're from Claiborne Parish, I don't know. Maybe you may find that odd, but people are trying to draw some kinds of conclusion here, and we're going to figure it out one way or the other.
Yeah. All right. Our guest is in the green room. Are we ready to go to our guest, or shall we continue chatting about Claiborne Parish?
Well, I think for now we've about wrapped that up, and you know, next show we will be back on Claiborne because we've got some more things that we're going to keep digging on and reporting on. But like you said, we need to do a little bit more homework and close up some of these loose ends. So if you are from Claiborne and you know some of this information and these connections, by all means, shoot us an email and share it via Proton Mail, and let's get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, and we do have a couple of comments here. I was swapping around screens and all this since we had our tech issues and all that. But George Tigner says that is Chris Perry's wife, who is Sam Dowie's business partner. So that may be true. All right, let's see. Let me get our guest assigned to a camera. Let me hit publish. And Mr. McCormick, can you hear us?
I can. How y'all guys doing today?
Pretty good. We got you live, so that's a pretty good sign. We had a little trouble getting started this evening, but you know. It's all good.
Well,
So
I get. Am I in half the? Am I? There
there,
we go.
right,
There,
your
here.
center right there.
Yep, you're good right there. Perfect.
Well, I mean, you're probably still seeing double from all of that booming voice at the lectern that I saw down there. You probably ain't come down off of that adrenaline.
Yeah, they'll get you wound up down there every now and then. I always say it only makes sense sometimes what they do if you're smoking crack. That's the only way you can understand what they're doing. Golly.
Well, you caught
you
my
know,
attention.
uh,
I thought that I'm on top of things, and I go to watching social media as I'm going down the road today, and I see you come running up to the lectern, and your voice was booming, and I'm like, what has got Danny all hot and bothered? What I didn't even know nothing about it. You were talking about all government entities being able to do just willy-nilly whatever they wanted to do, and that's what y'all are all clapping for. What were you talking about? What is this bill that you're talking about and you were all hot and bothered about?
well, it was SB 384. It was brought by a Democratic senator by the last name of Harris. It starts it gives any elected or appointed board, any political subdivision in Louisiana, the ability to start what they call a pilot innovative hub, which basically means they can do no bid contracts if they deem something innovative. So, and basically, each of these entities, like any even appointed board, can say, "Hey, I want to say, it's very innovative. Before you dig a ditch, if you spin around in the circle 2 times and throw a rock over your shoulder, that's innovative. So I don't have to. I'm going to get you to do this because nobody else does that when they dig a ditch. So I'm going to give you a no bid contract." And no limit on the amount of money you can do it. Just sky's the limit. I mean, it's the most unbelievable non-limited government transparency bill that you could imagine being brought by Democrats, and luckily the Republicans pushed it across the line. I'll kind of give you I'll give you go ahead and give you the long story. I'd been talking to some people about this bill for a few days. I seen it. I was in Commerce when it come through. I was the only one that voted against it in Commerce. So I was trying to get people riled up about it and trying to get it where we could kill it there in the House. Done been through the Senate, been through the House committee, so this is the last stop on the House floor. So several people are asking questions. We've been debating this bill about an hour, and the author, which is was going to return it to the calendar because he's had so much opposition that he thought he wasn't going to get the bill passed. And that's one thing you try to do when you ask questions for that long. You just try to keep shooting holes in this thing, so try to make people aware of it. Well, the Democrats actually started cheering for him to not return the bill to the calendar, and 2 freshman Republicans run up to the podium. Brian Glorioso and Chance Henry, they run up to the podium and they both looked at him and said, "Don't return the bill to the calendar. You've got the votes." So they must have known there were, the freshmen, some of the freshmen have a text message thread, it appears, and they were counting their votes, and they knew then when the Democrats were going to get it pushed through. And so by the time the Democrats are cheering for the bill and the Republicans are running up there to save the day to make sure we keep the Democratic government agenda alive, that's when I walked up to the microphone and kind of got enthusiastic about my opposition to the bill. And that's what you've seen was just the final cut of me telling them how great and wonderful this was going to be, that they were pushing through this no bid contracts. And it's just unbelievable. I mean, it's just
So
astounding to me.
So I know Rex is going to have a Jeff Sadow question for you here, but for me, basically simplify this thing. Basically, what you're saying is that if the Cypress district wants to pay Robert Berry to come out and operate the Cypress backhoe on his private property, if he would shave his head, they could say, well, we've never seen a private contractor ball-headed operating public property on their private property. So we're going to call it a, what did you call it?
A pilot innovation hub.
We'll call it innovation and we'll pay you for it. Right? And
That's it.
the public can't say nothing
that's
about it.
That's right. It's all legal. It's a legal way to circumvent the bid system, so you can hand out. In theory, if all elected politicians were wonderful and truth telling and only looked out for the public's best interest, you can maybe make the argument. But we know that it's constantly any power you give to the government, they're going to abuse it to the nth degree for their own personal gain. That's what politicians in general do. The only thing that helps this bill, the parish has to approve it for the parish. Like, for instance, Cattle Parish Commission or the Bossier Parish Police Jury, they'll have to say, we will do pilot innovation hubs in our parish. That's the only fail-safe right there. So once it's allowed into the parish through a vote, I don't know about, I know our 7 Democratic commissioners are going to love that to vote it in. I don't know that that some of Bossier Parish's police jurors may be worse than the Democratic people we have here in Cattle Parish. So I know some of them may be up to trying to vote through it. Maybe the new bunch won't. I don't know. But if it ever enters your parish, it's sky's the limit.
Well, all right, let me ask a question. So you say pilot. Are you talking about just a pilot program, or are you talking about payment in lieu of taxes pilot?
No, there you go again. They like to use pilot, like pay in lieu of taxes, is actually short for pay in lieu of taxes. Just this is just pilot. It's
Okay.
not in pay in lieu of taxes. It's just a pilot program,
Like an introductory program type of thing.
That's correct. That's exactly right. And my argument was, okay, so if what their argument was, what if there's some way to repair a septic system or sewer lines that nobody else has the ability to do, and you don't have anybody else to bid on this? Well, my argument is, if you got a patent, if you've got an idea, you got to get it patented. And if your contract you're putting out or bidding on these projects, and you're the only one that has the ability to do the work, well, you're going to get the job anyhow. But just having no bid contracts, good gosh, can you imagine what the Caddo Bossier Port's going to do with that? Woo, son, they're good about funneling money to their, the Cattle Bossier Port's what I call the great con in Cattle Bossier Parish. Boy, with no bid contracts, I'm going to bet Eric England can make a solid $1 million a year with no bid contracts. There's no telling what he can make out there.
All you got to do is do something that no other port has done, and it's innovative. I can see it coming from a mile away.
Something they've accomplished at the Cattle Bossier Port that no port has done in Louisiana has done is they have had ability to operate a port with no barges coming in. So that's pretty innovative.
It's a magical port.
Yeah. We just say it's a port. It don't matter if we get a barge today or not. It's
all right.
Port.
Whoa. Hold on a minute, Danny. For the folks that don't know, that maybe you're new to this show and you haven't heard Duke and I drone on about the Caddo Port, with good reason we do, by the way. So they're a port, as in a shipping port, right? Okay. But they don't have any barges? Did I hear you correctly?
They get less than 1 barge a day into the port. And their barge traffic is actually up because I think some of the stuff they're building the Jimmy Davis bridge with is coming into the port. So I still don't think they're up to 1 barge a day averaging at the port. And what your audience needs to know, there are some ports in South Louisiana that get 300 barges a day into their port. Ours gets less than 1 barge a day. And Eric England, the port director, makes more than any other port director in the state of Louisiana, knocking down close to $500,000 a year total compensation.
But I'm going to do something that's probably going to make both of your jaws drop. I'm going to defend the Caddo Bossier Port just a little bit. Look, I mean, just how much stuff do you think is really getting shipped this far up the
Wait,
river? They can't
Major,
go any further
Major.
north. They
Well, that's a
can't take
good
barge
point. That's a
traffic.
good point, but
Well, but
that's a
hear
good
me out.
point. But what if you put a cruise airline? What about a cruise in the middle of the Arizona desert? I mean, you can say, well, if we had any water, it'd be a real good spot to do cruises. I mean, I do agree. Having a port's silly. We ought to give us our money back, and they ought to shut it down and sell it to a private entity. I do agree.
Well, okay, but maybe, and look, guys, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Maybe it is a good idea to have a port, and let me give the caveat here in a minute. Maybe it is a good idea to have a port here because they could bring it up by barge or ship or whatever. They can actually get up the Red River, and then they could load it up. And then you got I-20 right there, relatively close, and I-49. I mean, that seems like a good thing if they got more than one barge a day and actually had traffic.
Well, Rex, look,
You're playing the
you do,
devil's advocate for sure.
Rex, you do not understand economic development. I can tell. You don't get it.
Oh no, I got it. And look, Eric England, he deserves every penny on his way to 7-figure salary because that guy is able to turn a little bit of gold and spin it into mountains of gold based on our tax dollars. I mean, he's just a magician genius.
Somewhere between $9 and $10 million a year we pay in property taxes to the port.
Wow.
And I think they're up to 4,000 acres now. Is what they bought, and I don't think they've increased economic development in the last 10 years by anything, by any amount.
Well, hold on. They're helping Bossier's economy. Don't forget, that whole water line they got bored under the river. They got enough other people's money, enough tax dollars to bore under the river and provide water and do this little water exchange dance that they did or whatever. Anyway, I digress.
Well, and don't forget they've got those solar plants over there for Danny to keep him all hot and bothered, and then they got the wood chip mill over here that was going bankrupt. That was people saying wasn't going bankrupt. I mean, they're doing some economic development. You can't argue that.
Yeah, the bankruptcy attorneys in Shreveport are doing lots of business. Probably, I agree.
Well, the bottom line is this bill is just going to give all of your local governments, and it don't matter whether you're in Caddo, Bossier, Webster, or even Claiborne. Now there's no checks and balances. Essentially, just the only check and balance is them if they don't have a creative mind of how to set these things up. And is there any provision, Danny, for the public to have recourse on some contract if any of these government entities do anything? Like, can they file a complaint? What can they do?
There's like a 30-day period that you can protest their no bid contracts. But all you can do is just go to them and say, "Hey, I protest." You know what I mean? I don't believe this should be a no bid. There's no teeth in it. There's nothing to keep them from doing it. The same entity that gives them the permission to do it's going to be the same entity that listens to the protest. And the kicker is if you're a contractor for the government, which you have to be to have a complaint to go, are you going to go complain to the guy you want to bid on at his job next week? Or are you going to go down to the parish commission and complain that this shouldn't be a no bid contract, and next week you're going to try to bid on another job for this entity? It's just foolishness.
Well, wait a minute. So look, if I'm one of these people and I'm operating like this, here's what I do. I need to first, I got this idea. You come to me with this innovative idea, right? And say, okay, look, I don't want to tell nobody about this, so we need to sign NDAs. We sign NDAs, and then we agree to give me the contract, and then I'm not even going to know about it to argue about it for 30 days because damn, if I go asking for the NDA, they ain't going to give me a copy of the NDA. The time's going to expire. I'm not even going to know about it or have the ability to fight it. do they still have to go through regular procedural votes, like, once or twice voted on in a city council, or per every government entity, something, or it's up in the air, ain't it?
The bill's about a page and a half long. It's not very complicated. There's no hoops to jump through, hardly at all. Besides, the governing body of the parish has to okay to have no bid contracts in the parish. That has to happen, and the 30-day complaint period is about the only checks and balances, and that's not anything. That's every parish is going to be we're going to want this, because why do you want to have to go out and get bids? Why
Well,
don't you want to funnel the money to the guy you want it funneled to?
you pretty much do this. You don't even have to have votes.
That's right. Like appointed, but to me, the only thing that would have made this bill better, and it would have made it better if the only people that could have gave out these no bid contracts would be elected officials, somebody that there's accountability for at the ballot box. But the County Bossier Port and there's more unelected bodies that people don't know about. I know y'all do. There's probably more unelected bodies than there are elected bodies. You have the County Bossier Port. You got the river waterway. You got all the fire districts. You got all the sewer districts. You got levee board districts. You got all these appointed boards, and these people aren't really accountable to anybody. And now you've just given them a blank check and said, here, get after it. And so yeah, I mean, it's the only thing that would have made it better is only elect. Say, for instance, if the Caddo Bossier Port wanted to do a no bid contract, it'd have to be voted on by the Caddo Parish Commission and the Bossier Parish Police Jury, and then you could have somebody elected. You could hold their feet to the fire. It doesn't even have that little bit of protection in it.
Hey, I'm going to throw something out of left field here for a second, Mr. Lowry. Danny, we need to recruit your help. We might have to put you on the payroll, and we pay absolutely zero, so you might get a raise sometime soon, too.
That's what I'm worth, so go ahead.
All right, here's what we need help with. Have you been able to find or track down any of the NDAs for the data centers that are being built, whether it's over the state line, Blanchard Road, Shreveport, or even across on our side of the river, the Benton data center? Have you been able to see any of those NDAs yet?
No, I'm just a measly elected official. I don't have that type of clearance. And this is, I got a story there too. I actually did a public records request on Blanchard to get their NDAs. Did a public records request with the city of Shreveport to get their NDAs, and both of them, which use the same law firm, is my understanding. This was both of them's answer. We signed the NDA, but we didn't keep a copy, so we can't give it to you because we don't have anything to give to you. So either they're that incompetent that they didn't keep a copy of a non-disclosure agreement, or that was their legal plan going in to keep it from the public. It's hard to believe me that both Shreveport and Blanchard both don't have a copy of their NDA. That's what their answer was back on their public records request.
Wait, pick me. So let me give you some interesting information, Mr. McCormick. We've submitted for those same NDAs. Duke himself went to the Bossier Parish Police Jury and got them in a public meeting recorded on video as saying that, we're beyond the period with Stephen Jackson's law that all the Republicans signed on to. We're beyond that time, so the NDAs basically should be public record. And we're getting the same response from Bossier across the river. It's almost like they coordinated this.
Oh, God, you think so? I mean, now we want to give them no bid contracts. I mean, it's if they're doing the right thing, guys, if they really believe in what they're doing, just be straight up about it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's obvious they're running a con, or they wouldn't be hiding it from the public. I mean, that's the kicker. People can have stupid ideas and still think they're right. But when they're hiding it from the public like that, I mean, like you said, they're doing the same thing. So it's a plan going in.
Very interesting. What say you, Mr. Lowry?
I'll give you another bit of information when we're talking about data centers. Y'all may find this interesting. The Louisiana Economic Development were behind that were promoting this no bid contract bill we discussed. Louisiana Economic Development was behind a bill to start government funded grocery stores in Louisiana. And that's a problem when Louisiana Economic Development are behind those type things, and we're giving hundreds of millions of dollars, or they're giving hundreds of millions of the tax dollars to these large corporations that are coming here. Well, when Susan, the secretary, is her last name? I can't remember. Boudreaux, or
I can't remember.
what's her last? Yeah, whatever Susan's last name is. She was in the Commerce Committee, so I started asking her questions. And I was talking about, you can make, if you haven't been in business long enough, you can take numbers and put them on paper and make them say anything you want them to say. But it don't even seem like our local government even bothers to put things on paper. But anyhow, I asked her, I said, so y'all are keeping up with your return on this investment of this money we're putting in. I said, we're doing, the state is paying part of their employees' salaries. We're, all these different kind of tax breaks we're giving them, like sales tax breaks and pilot programs. And she said, well, now, pilot programs, we don't keep up with that. That's local. And any local sales tax, we don't figure that into our equation. I said, whoa. I said, you got the data centers coming in and the our goofballs here in Caddo Parish that gave them 25 years worth of tax exemptions through this pilot program. Y'all don't figure that in on the return on investment? Nope, that's local. We don't figure that in on a return on investment. So, for instance, the data centers are probably getting tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions worth of tax abatements over a 25-year period. And nobody's even figuring out if we're getting a return on our investment or not. Nobody's keeping up with the numbers. Nobody's even trying to say the numbers. Let me ask y'all this question. If y'all represented
No
the
accountability. No accountability.
That's exactly right. I'm going to ask y'all a question. If y'all represented the data center and you went to the data center and said, hey, over the next 25 years, you're going to pay $125 million in property taxes. What if I get that knocked down to $10 million? What's that worth to you? Well, it'll be worth a lot of money to them, wouldn't you think?
Sounds innovative to me.
All I got to do is go out in the public and say, hey, I'm creating jobs. I'm economic development. We've got to exempt these taxes.
You should run for the legislature. You sound like a future politician.
That's it. But there's a lot of corruption that could be there, and I'm not even saying it's illegal. I'm not saying it's not legal.
Let me chime this in, and I've done this before, and I'm doing this off the top of my head, so let me see if I can phrase this correctly. All right, here's what a lot of people don't calculate into those equations.
Hang on, Rick. Jerry, yes, it is depressing. It is depressing. And look, if a guy like Danny, a guy like me, and a guy like Rex can continue to keep fighting this every single week, you can do it too. I mean, it is depressing. It makes us sick to our stomach every week that we see crap like this. But that's why we continue to do it, because hopefully we are incentivizing y'all to see that you can still fight this, even though it sucks. It sucks. It does. But the more of y'all that are seeing and hearing what we're talking about, the more you're getting sick to your stomach, that you're going to one day just say enough's enough, and you're going to be standing right here shoulder to shoulder with us. That's why we continue to keep doing it. At least me, anyway. I don't know about y'all.
That's the only reason, so we can all get sick together. How about that? Little did you know, Mr. McCoy.
Sorry, Rick.
We got our kids and grandkids, that are coming behind us. We wouldn't be worth our salt if we didn't discuss these things and try to get out in front of them. And June the 27th, there's lots of taxes on the ballot. You need to decide, before you go to the polls, whether you think they're needed or not.
All right, so let me finish my thought, though, before it leaves my head with my short-term memory here. All right, so let me try to phrase this somewhat coherently. All right. So let's say that you're going to give the business, I'm just going to use a round number, $10 million in tax abatements and all that. And the response is that it's always that, oh, well, we're going to create so many jobs and those jobs are going to pay taxes and everybody will be happy and it'll all work out. Well, the problem is when you take that $10 million tax abatement away from the local community, that's taking it away from parish road repair, potential city road repair or whatever, the school board, all the other local entities that depend on this. But the response always is, oh, yes, but they're going to hire, let's just say 50 people, and those 50 people are going to buy houses and all that. But the problem is, and specifically with the data centers, unless you're drawing in people from outside our area, you've not added anything to the pie or to the pot. So it's the same people that would have held a job and would be employed and buying houses and paying those taxes anyway. So to me, in my simple thinking about it, there is no real net gain by these tax abatements. The company's not paying the taxes, which ultimately we know the consumers and that use the companies end up paying it. But the company is not paying those taxes. And on balance, somebody prove me wrong. Maybe Mr. Sadow, you're the numbers guy, prove me wrong. But in the end, on balance, I don't think there is a real gain in the tax base when you offer these companies these deals, these tax abatements.
And I agree, Rex. This is a question too. Let's just assume that the data center creates 75 new jobs, and we're giving the tax abatements in Caddo Parish. How many of those 75 people do you think is going to live in Caddo Parish? Are they going? You want to see total chaos? Go to the 220 bridge from everybody leaving their jobs in Shreveport, heading to Bossier to live at the end of the day. Or what about East Texas? What about DeSoto? I mean, we're giving the tax abatements in Caddo Parish, and the odds are that most of the people aren't going to live in Caddo Parish. And so we're taking the hit, and then the adjoining state or parishes may be getting the benefit of the employees and the shopping and everything else. And like you were talking about there too, Rex, if there's 10 of us paying taxes to fix this road, and one of them doesn't have to pay any taxes, the rest of the 9 got to pick up his share. It's like we're going to go into a restaurant and order a steak, but they also going to make you pay for Mark Zuckerberg's steak over there in the corner. I believe Mark Zuckerberg can afford his own steak, don't you?
I agree.
That's my point. If they want to come here and use our resources, they need to pay the same taxes as we pay. And they say they won't come, but I believe that's they're running the data centers out of lots of states. So if we'll just accept them, they'll probably be able to pay the taxes. If they don't want to pay them, we don't want them here. You know what I'm saying? If they don't want to pay their share like the rest of the working class small business owners, we don't want them. And I will tell you this: the legislative auditor did an audit. Go back to the Caddo-Bossier report. The Caddo-Bossier report don't even keep up with the tax abatements that it does. How are they figuring out if these projects are worthwhile or not? They don't figure out. They don't even figure the tax abatements into their formula. They're not even trying to make it look like they're creating jobs and making a net gain for the parishes.
That's insanity.
Wow. And wow. Yeah.
One more wow.
You got my daddy used to have a saying, "I'm gonna laugh. You got to laugh to keep from crying." I think that's where I'm at now. And the kicker is, the more you peel back that onion, every layer of that onion, the more it stinks. You're going, surely there's a good onion under here, and you pull it back, and there's a big old fat worm under there. I don't know how people I don't know how people do this to their communities and sleep at night. I don't know.
Well, I would say you are one of the few and far between politicians, and I hate to call you a politician because you're a good friend, but I think you can generally sleep pretty good at night with the way you tend to vote and think about things.
That is my goal. I lay my head on my pillow at night and go to sleep, and I that's what I say. We send all our money to Baton Rouge, and then we got to go elect a bunch of prostitutes to send down there to try to get our money and bring it back. Why don't we just keep it home?
It's like a
So
legal
yeah,
laundering deal.
that's it. That's right. But yeah, I think it's just important that what I really think is important for your listeners to know: don't trust the government.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? They're and that's why the free market capitalism works, is because when we do what's in our self-centered self-interest, that means we'll just take Walmart. When Sam Walton did something that made his family billionaires, it also provided cheap products to people. You know what I mean? So when you do something, and that's why free market principles work, because when you do something that benefits you, it also benefits the public.
Right.
In government, that those that govern least governs best. And there's no way, we have to create class envy, all these different things, so the government can go fix it for us. But I would say most taxes that we vote on, how important are they? I mean, and while we're just ranting, or while I'm ranting and raving, just kind of around the table here, we'll even talk about this. What about the modern day library system? We play like 15 meals in Caddo Parish. Shouldn't we be able to sit down and say, hey guys, how many people actually go to the library anymore? Is that a dinosaur that we need to look at phasing out over the next 20 or 30 years? We need to look at everything through glasses that are subjective. Do we really need this?
Well,
And
let
every
me
dollar we put back in somebody's pocket's another dollar they got to spend too.
let
You,
me
you
just
know,
interject right there. I can tell you the library. There's got to be something to that, and you know how I know that for a fact? Because the
How's
Bossier
that?
Parish Police Jury has taken over the library system over here. So there's got to be some kind of monies they can get their fingers in somewhere in
well, I don't know what the answer is, Danny. I mean, it's a minority of people that are fighting. I mean, to and Jerry, like I've literally been down there at the Capitol when Danny was arguing for a bill, and he got beat by every other legislator in there, and he even knew he was going to be beat before he was in there, and he still just stood right in there, took his beatings, and when he was done, he just smiles. And the I say that to say it takes special types of people to go down there and fight like the way that Danny fights. And too often in these campaigns and these elections, we don't vote for the person who we know has the scars and the ability to tolerate the beatings that they're going to take when they get down there. We vote for the slickest, most polished, pretty candidate that there is. That's what we do. And when we do that and we don't vote for people and send people down there with a track record of being in a damn fist fight and having scars to prove it, the result is we get what we're getting today. That's my viewpoint on it. We're not sending fighters, to the places where it counts.
You got to know how they vote. That's all that matters. How do you vote? You know what I mean? That's all that matters. What is your voting record? I think I've got the highest CPAC score of anybody that's ever served in Baton Rouge. That should mean something. That's I don't elect any politician I vote for. I don't care if I like him or dislike him, or if he knows my name, or if he speaks to me, at the grocery store, or I don't care nothing about one thing, and that's his voting record. I want him to be able to produce. If he can't produce, I don't care how nice he is or how much he speaks to me or shakes my hand, or that's kind of like if you're going to go to a heart doctor, you want one that's really nice and shakes your hand and about half his patients die, or do you want one that actually it's kind of maybe a little rough around the edges sometimes, but most of his patients come out better at the end. And I can guarantee you, nobody down there is looking at after the common working man and woman's best interest. For the majority are not anyhow.
Amen
Yeah.
to that.
Well, Danny, we appreciate it, and we have to get you back on again. I mean, I'm glad you were there. It was just like that bill when you and Glover were standing with each other. You know, you caught my attention on one that flew under the radar, and it was significant. And I think this piece of legislation might be the most significant piece that hardly nobody knows anything about. We're going to find out real quick.
Redistricting this year overshadowed so much, so many things out there. But we did, Duke, get term limits on the port commissioners. Anyhow, it's not retroactive, so anybody that's still there can serve, 2 6-year terms. But we did accomplish little small battles. It won't help. May not help me. I may be gone by the time they term limited. But in the future, at least we'll have term limits on
That's saying
Yeah,
something.
that's good. That's good.
them.
All right, brother.
One
Well,
other
you hang
thing
in
too, I'd
there.
like to
Go ahead.
one other thing I want to say to you listeners: if you go to vote for a property tax and it's 25 years, don't vote for it. I don't care what it's going. If they're going to pave the driveway to your house, don't vote for it. You shouldn't. I don't think you ever vote for a property tax that's over 10 years. Now that's plenty of long enough. 25 years. That's what the port's got. It's 25 years. That's why they do not care, because they don't have to go back probably another 12 or 14 years now to get your money. So they do not care. The group that's there would be done robbed the bank and gone time that you get to vote again. Never vote for a property tax that's over 10 years.
Words of
Thank you,
wisdom.
guys. I appreciate you. Hopefully I didn't depress y'all too much.
Oh, absolutely not. You help with our depression just a little. Group therapy always helps.
You bet, guys. Thank y'all for what you do. Keep up your good work.
All right.
Thanks
Thank you,
to your
Danny.
listeners, too. I appreciate you listening.
Absolutely. Thank you, Danny.
Awesome.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
So,
Many things wrapped up in that little round
yeah,
table session.
I know I caught you off guard on that one but it was a significant bill that, no bid contracts by anybody basically in government now. So all of y'all prospective business people out there, if you want to, look, need to go kiss butt to some politician and start working on your innovative idea, and hey, they can hook you up with everybody's tax dollars.
Oh, yeah. It's always a wonderful thing with other people's money. Hey, speaking of other people's money, we got to talk about this thumbnail for the show today. We have to talk about the sand. I know you've been avoiding this, Mr. Sandman, but what's up with the sand for any of the viewers watching that? But I think everybody's seen those posts. They're well over 40,000 views now. Well over. What is the deal with the sand?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the dadgum thing. Look, I thought it was funny. I saw some of the folks in the comments. Some people were saying, "You trying to beat up on the drivers, and you don't know nothing about saying whatever," and blah blah. And I had to kind of laugh. But you know what? The truth of the matter is, there might be a person or two that may not know. I've hauled sand all across this country. I've hauled it in Utah, Wyoming, Montana, you name it, all over. Every way, pneumatics, boxes, you name it. There ain't nothing about this sand stuff that you're not gonna enlighten me on anything. So here's what I can tell you. What I can tell you is when you travel up and down the road and you see the state police sitting in the shade, and don't take my word for it. In fact, I got a picture. Go to cut number 25.
Yes. All right. Let me get that
Cut number
prepped up and
25.
ready. Yes. All right. Here we go. Hold on. It's going to take it a second. It's got to download. Cut number 25. Come on. There we go. Okay. Let me get rid of the
So,
Sandman in the background.
so I took this picture. Now this is this week. This was just the last yesterday.
Okay.
This one spot right here, north of the exit off of Highway 3, to where this trooper would not be able to see the sand trucks with all the sand piled up on top anymore. It's right business as usual. We're right back to normal. The point of this is last week when I started making those posts, he was sitting right here every day writing speeding tickets for people. He just sitting there. But you don't want to be up there to where you can see the sand trucks with all the sand that's filling up our roadways, sandblasting cars. Oh no, you're not going to sit up there to where you'll see that. And so basically, you're saying you would rather write the people living up and down in these communities speeding tickets than you would enforcing the law on the other. Well, what's the difference? What's the differences in the violations? Why is there a difference? Oh, well, maybe it's because, well, we only write sand trucks on Fridays. We only enforce that law on Thursdays, but speeding tickets, we enforce that law 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a violation of the law either way. So it's
Right.
bull crap.
All
So
right.
here's the thing. Go ahead.
Well, and so I want to make it clear because look, my dad had his CDL, drove a truck, worked for Halliburton, blah, blah, blah. My brother's done the same thing. I got lots of friends, including you, that drive trucks. I'm not a professional truck driver and don't have my CDL. However, I can tell you, like you said, it's very aggravating. It's a it's a violation of the law, and I'm sure you'll get to the specific violations here in a second, but it's a violation of the law, whether it's speeding, whether it's crossing the center line, or whether it is violating it with sand that goes everywhere. It's not about the hauling of the sand. You and I both support the oil and gas industry. Hoorah. We both support the fracking industry and the guys that have the sand plants that are making cajillions of dollars with an almost unlimited resource out there. It's not about that. It's about the law enforcement needs to do their jobs. And correct me if I'm wrong, Duke. The sand truck drivers, the haulers, aren't really making that much money hauling sand. This is kind of like, I don't know, I term it as kind of like the Walmart deals of truck driving. They got to get a lot of loads to try to make anything. Am I wrong about that or am I close to right?
No, you're 100%. And here's the problem. And a lot of people, they just don't understand what has happened here. So the fault of this, it used to be, that sand's used for hydraulic fracturing. It's in the well stuff. They fracture the stone deep down in the earth, and then they pump hydraulically the sand into the pore spaces to prop open the cracks so that the oil and gas will flow back out into the wellhead and come out. They collect it and then process it, and then it goes into your gas tanks, right? That's the big picture. Well, it used to be that the industry used, the pneumatic trailers with the aluminum looking, they're round and they got the little cones down on the bottom. And the reason that they use those was because they can seal them up on the top to where if it rains, it won't get wet. And you pressure it up with a blower and it's conveyed by air into the container on the well location. Well, when you start conveying stuff with air, that creates dust, silicosis. So silica is sand, for those of you that don't know. When you entrain it in the air, it's pretty bad stuff. I mean, it'll kill you. You had to wear respirators on things. So the other thing was it's an art to offloading sand with a pneumatic trailer. You have to have a little bit of skill. So industry decided we've got to find another way to move this sand because we're having to pay drivers to actually be skilled and actually to be of quality. So they came up with a system. They said, well, we're going to get these boxes, right? And we do these boxes to where we'll take this giant forklift to where the driver doesn't even have to get off the truck. All he does is he drives the truck onto the location, and the forklift lifts the box off, sets it on the ground, grabs an empty one and puts it back in that place, and the driver drives off a location. Never gets
Right.
out of the truck. Shifting liability, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
there's a few things that they found out. They found out that one, you can get more sand into these boxes than what you do or you can on those pneumatics. And the other thing is that it as you see, it kind of piles up on the top. So these boxes start getting to these loadouts, whereas before the drivers really didn't have to get on there. But the loadouts, some of them have it, some of them don't, but they've got these ladders and stuff to where it enables the drivers to get up and be able to close the lids, clean the tops of the boxes off, and secure the load. All drivers, any semi vehicle you see going down the road, they're required by law to have their load secured. If product, whatever it is they're transporting, so they get loaded, they get a BOL that says they've loaded 25 tons of product. Well, they're responsible for securing that. If it's loose on the vehicle or spread out all over it, that's not secure. That is a violation of the law. It's an out of service violation for the truck. Well, y'all tell me. I mean, how many times do you drive up and down Benton Road and do you see trucks with unsecured loads? And then also, I already know the answer. I want you to tell me how many times you drive up and down Benton Road and you see a police officer. How many times do you see a trooper? Now, do you think that those officers don't see these unsecured loads?
All right.
You daggum right. They see them. They're not blind. I mean, if they can see whether I got an inspection sticker or not, thank goodness that's over with. Driving down the road, you damn right they can see that. But it's a choice not to enforce that. Now, I get it. We don't want to run the sand stuff out of business. I want the sand plants in Bossier to be successful. I do. I don't want that. But at the same time, most of these trucks and these drivers, I'm not saying all of them, but the rates are reduced. The industry sought to get a way that the driver didn't have to be as good of a driver to haul sand. They simplified the methods to haul it so that they could then reduce the rates. So now you've got a lot of drivers that are not as professional of drivers as there is out there on the road running up and down these. They don't care. They're not making enough money to care. You're moving the product for as cheap as you possibly can move it, and they don't care. The only way they're gonna care is if somebody steps in and makes them do their job. And when you can see that there's a disparity in the enforcement on this stuff, as opposed to speeding tickets, I'm sorry, I got a problem with that. Everywhere I hauled sand across the country, I was respectful of the communities that I was hauling in there to try not to dump this crap all over their things. If they're going to come through our community, the least we could expect is that they're going to respect us.
Well,
And they're not.
Hard to argue with that. Now, so I had an interesting conversation today with my mother. And she said, but aren't the tickets, if the law enforcement increases the tickets, aren't those tickets paid by the drivers, not the companies at the sand plants, who are ultimately not paying, the companies that own the sand plants, who ultimately are not paying the drivers worth a flip for the drivers to actually care, like we see in this picture right here. I mean, he's got his tarp, but it's only what, 2/3, 3/4 of the way back, and it's got sand on top of it. Hell, I'm sure the sand's fine enough to go right through that cover. So is this ultimately hurt? And I've got a response for this, but I want to hear yours first. Is it ultimately hurting the drivers and they're going to learn their lesson? Is it hurting the company, who ultimately should be saying, hey, make sure your load's secure before you leave this area?
Okay, so there's multiple points to this, and people needs to understand it. Rex, what is insurance like for trucking companies in Louisiana?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and look at that license plate on the back of that trailer, just as an example. The one, is that a Louisiana plate?
Doesn't look like a Louisiana plate to me. It looks like it's a Yankee tag from Maine.
So, here's the thing: the majority, and it's just like me. I had to move me and Kara's trucking company out of Louisiana to Oklahoma because we couldn't get competitive insurance. We had to move the company. Well, here's the thing: all of these companies are from out of state. So when you write someone a ticket for an unsecured load and you give them an out of service violation, two things happen. One, the driver, yeah, he's going to have that ticket, but the company, that out of service violation goes against his record. Well, guess what? The more violations, and all of you can go look, if there's a trucking company, look the DOT number up. You can go to the SAFER, SAFER, SAFER system, company snapshot, type in either the name of the company or the DOT number, and you can look at the violations that that company has. And that affects your insurance. It starts costing the company money. If you, as a rule, don't mandate that your drivers secure the load and it's a regular occurrence and you get out of service violations, your insurance is going to go up. Well, we don't have trucks from Louisiana here because we got outrageous insurance. So all the companies that are here are primarily from out of state, running up down your roads, and they don't care. And our troopers are more concerned with writing speeding tickets than enforcing these out of services on these unsecured loads. I got an issue with that.
Well, I
I
don't
got an
blame you.
issue with that.
Well, and to address the disparity of pay, let's just say, for hauling the sand that is paid to the trucking companies or these independent truckers or whatever, my argument is, look, if enough of these sand haulers get tickets and violations, that's going to start eating into their margins, which are already ridiculously thin for hauling the sand. And
Yep.
they're eventually not going to be here to haul the sand. Well, law of supply and demand. What's that going to do? That's going to
They're going to have to.
it's going to force the sand companies to have to start increasing the amount that they're paying for the loads to attract more drivers back in to fill those gaps. I mean, it's economics 101. I mean, there's only so many truck drivers out there.
100%. 100%. So I don't know. I mean, just the yo-yo of enforcement. I mean, it used to be a running joke that DOT, Monday was log trucks. Tuesdays was 1 tons pulling dual tandem axle trailers. Wednesday was vans. Like the box trailers behind trucks going down the road. Thursdays was pneumatics. And Fridays was hazmat. That used to be a running joke. I don't know that it wasn't serious because this they only enforce this on certain days, and I'm sorry. Look, I'm as pro law enforcement as they come, but dadgummit, enough's enough. We shouldn't have to get on here to attack an industry and then start criticizing the law enforcement to get them to take action on obvious violations. Just ride up and down from 220 to plain dealing and look at the amount of sand up and down Highway 3. And go to Willis Knight and Piermont. Look at the road through there and all the freaking sand and watch the trucks coming through there dumping sand everywhere. This ain't just a Bossier thing. I mean,
Right.
Look, this is our home. They need to address it and not just, okay, well, them couple of guys showed their ass on that show and we got out there and made a good day of it and we pulled over some trucks like you showed that trooper having a Halliburton truck. Halliburton runs a tight ship. You don't hardly see trucks coming out of there, the Halliburton boxes with sand on top. They make sure they do it. But that rubbed me wrong, that picture. that somebody sent to us. That rubbed me wrong because they know as well as I do that Halliburton doesn't normally have sand. They do it right. They get that crap off the top of there. But what are you going to do? You go and pull over the Halliburton trucks to say, we affected this many inspections of sand trucks and we found this many in violation of unsecured loads. So therefore, it's not really happening. We don't need to spend any time doing that. Or better yet, well, hang on a minute, I'm on a roll. Or better yet, while your 1 day blitz you spend in one place, you don't go camp out north to see that the trucks are going the opposite direction, crossing over to Gillum so that they don't come down to you and they just blowing the sand off in the distance up there. You know how I know that? Because I watched them the day. I got videos of 3 different trucks doing inspections on trucks on the 5th day after we were complaining. And then I was in Plain Dealing watching the sand trucks flying through Plain Dealing going to Gillum the opposite direction to avoid y'all down there.
Oh,
I mean,
if only
who knew?
if only the truckers had these things called CB radios. Oh wait, or even cell phones these days.
I mean,
Just
good
call it right.
grief.
Yeah, go this way to
Look,
avoid it. Look, and what I was going to share the story.
I'm missing the point, Rex. I'm missing the point.
Oh,
See,
wait.
just like what Danny. That my thinking is innovation. They need to give me a no bid contract and a commission and a ticket book and let me go be innovative on this and get it fixed.
Absolutely.
I can go do their job for them.
Yeah. They could
I don't
even
even need
not only commission you, they could pay you a commission. Oh, that would
no,
be
it's
like a
innovation.
quota system. We don't want to do that.
It's innovation. No retirement, just a contract deal for me. Right there.
No dual office holding involved. No nothing.
Yes, it's clean.
I was going to share. I've shared this one time before on this show, but it just takes me back. I think when we were talking about sand trucks before, when I was a teenager, late teens, I was in a bass club in Ruston. Make a long story short, we went to fish a tournament on Darbone. None of us, and still to this day, I don't, none of us had inspection trailers on our boat trailers. Now, maybe the laws changed, but back in the 80s, maybe you still do, you had to have an inspection sticker on your trailers, and none of us had it. You know how I know you're supposed to? Because Mac Ward, the dad who was the DOT guy for that area and a state trooper, and he was also the dad of one of my best friends from high school, wrote us all the tickets. He pulled 10 of us over in a row with our trucks and bass boats, wrote us all tickets. Yet these sand trucks can just drive up and down the road spewing their Sandman all over the place.
I'm not saying I'm perfect and always been perfect. I'll give you one. I'll give you one. There's a difference between a continuous problem and something that's just not like. I was pulling sand. Let's see, Rock Springs, Wyoming, and if y'all don't know about Wyoming, Rock Springs, Wyoming, it will get like negative something or whatever. So they had a DOT guy up there, and we were having to go down the interstate, and it had been snow on the ground, solid ice for like a month, and get off, and you'd go down the lease road, and I was actually pulling a Halliburton box, right, and trailer.
Right.
Well, the way those designs of those things in the back, the wheels were slinging snow and ice. Well, it was slinging snow and ice up into the light fixtures on the back of the trailer. Well, as the ice slings up in there and it forms on top of all the wires and all that stuff. And when you go down the lease road and they beat and bang, it would literally rip the wires out of the lights. So when you come back off the lease road, you got to get on the interstate to get out. But you got nothing. There's nothing out there to repair it with. Well, what were the DOT guys doing? They would sit there and wait for you to come off the lease road so they could hook you up. So, you know what ended up happening? Halliburton ended up hiring me and paying me to just sit at the end of the lease road and just fix trucks nonstop as they come on.
So well, that's almost like a Dirty Jobs episode.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, have some reasoning,
Right.
and this is anyway.
Yeah. To be clear, we're not anti-trucking. Certainly, Duke's or used to be in the trucking business. At least got lots of friends and family that are truck drivers and
Yep.
all that. That's not the issue. We're not anti-law enforcement. We just want you guys to do your jobs. That's it. Right?
Yeah,
Is that fair enough?
freaking make these guys put the sand in the box. I mean, if the fracking companies are paying for 25 tons, make sure they get 25 tons to the well, not 24 and a half and half of it on Benton Road.
Right.
Dadgummit.
All right, Mr.
Okay.
Lowry. Anything else you want to ramble on and get on our soapbox about tonight?
Hey, cut 50. We have breaking
Oh.
news from Bossier City.
Uh-oh.
In addition to the news from the marshal's office in Bossier City, I hear one of the senior marshals down there, and I wasn't going to talk too much about that, but one of the head people under Marshal Whitman got arrested on some kind of domestic thing.
Oh,
I
really?
don't know all of the details, and I don't know exactly who it is or what have you, but as I appreciate it, it's supposed to be a bad deal.
Uh-oh. This is cut 50?
Yeah, no, but cut 50,
Oh,
and
okay.
I don't know who this person is, but it was announced today that Bossier City has hired them a new public information officer that just graduated from college. Just graduated
Riley
from
Burns.
college.
Wonder if she's
So
related to Henry Burns.
I wonder too.
All right.
I don't know, no experience, but there's your new public information officer, Bossier City.
That is confirmed, right?
I've had 3 or 4 people send it to me this evening. I think it's I think it's pretty.
Maybe we can get some
legit.
public information and communications from the mayor's office. Finally. Since Lewis
I
has
don't know.
departed. Well, he's changed jobs or gone on to do whatever he's doing. I don't mean departed,
Well,
as in like left us in spirit.
I would, maybe it may be wrong of me to say this, but if this young lady just graduated from college, I guess experience is not a factor anymore. I would be interested to know what her experience is in public information.
Would it be mean of me to say that she doesn't have to have much experience at all to help Tommy?
Well, I was just going to say that, I think we might be partly to blame because we helped try to get a lot of people with no experience in, and why should we expect them to do anything different?
Oh yeah, their public communications of late is just not been up to stuff and not very truthful, or they have a distorted way of remembering things. But again, that's for a whole other conversation that we'll get to eventually. All right,
We
Mr.
will have
Lowry.
that conversation.
Yes.
100%.
Anything else that we shall get on our soapbox tonight? We've had pretty much about 40 plus 50 people. I don't think we actually made it on Twitter or X tonight. I got to figure out what's going on with that. And anyway, we'll try to fix that before next week's show. I'm fishing this Thursday night, so folks, we're not going to have a show Thursday night. I know it's a crazy schedule, but it's the whole fishing thing. We'll probably have one either next Tuesday or next Thursday night, whatever the evening works out best. So we appreciate y'all just sticking with us and, sharing out the information and commenting. And even if you don't agree and pushing back against us and letting us push back against y'all, we appreciate it all for 300 plus shows. We're officially on show 299, but we've done more than 300 when you count Louisiana Watch, the outdoor news, and all that. Oh, yeah. And don't forget, I'm saying this a little late because we didn't do the intros. Don't forget the Ferrises, Mike and Julie Ferris over at Pelican Training and Consulting. And of course, Duke's better half over there, much better half over there at Acadiana Mortgage. She and Miss Kara and Duke have been in the mortgage business. Correct me if I'm wrong, Duke. Over 28 years now? Did I say that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then
you would think we would have a friend or two around here in these parts.
You would think. And then if you want to check out some outdoors content, we've got duck hunting stuff. I've got fishing stuff up. Sometimes we do crawfishing stuff and whatever else, and some political type outdoor stuff. Go over to the outdoor news down there in the corner and check that out. And I guess we will see everybody sometime next week. Take us out of here, Mr. Lowry.
Good night, y'all.